discuss us. Who discuss you? Who would you prefer not to talk to, hear from, be seen with, or touch? Who would you consider to be untouchable? Well, I had a classmate named Damien who's considered an outcast from his bad hygiene to the bad decisions that he made. He became known with the phrase, the Damien touch, like the cheese touch, but to where his touch is considered contagious like a virus. People, including myself, despised him and treated him poorly because of this. So let's be honest with ourselves. We all have a Damien in our lives whom we treat differently based on reputation. We treat people how the crowd treats them to make us look normal and not become hated and shunned like them. This is how we think and act. But let's see how Jesus thinks and acts. Today I'm going to be telling you about a man named Zacchaeus who was disliked and treated poorly by those around him. Some might say he deserved it because he didn't always make the best choices. He was a tax collector, which may not seem significant to you, but it led to people despising him due to his actions and betrayal. Luke 19:1-4 says, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. Isn't it intriguing how Zacchaeus struggled to reach Jesus through the crowd? It makes me wonder if they had intentionally blocked him due to his reputation. If Zacchaeus had been different, as in liked and respected, would he have faced that same obstacle? In other words, have I ever let my feelings prevent someone who was not as respected and liked from connecting with Christ? Knowing Zacchaeus' backstory, how did Jesus react? In Luke 19:5-6, Jesus tells Zacchaeus to come down and that he'll be staying at his house that day. Zacchaeus comes down as Jesus welcomes him gladly. See, Jesus doesn't respond with disgust. He doesn't despise him either. Instead, he invites himself into Zacchaeus' home. But why? Out of all the places Jesus could have stayed, he chose the sinners. See, Jesus saw through Zacchaeus' past, poor choices, and reputation. The crowd saw from the surface, but Jesus saw the man that God had created. So what happens next? In Luke 19:7, all the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." The crowd turns on Jesus. The same people who had walked all the way there to see him teach are suddenly filled with anger over the fact that Jesus was eating dinner with this disgusting, despised, immoral person named Zacchaeus. But Zacchaeus ignored them and did not respond. Why? Because he had already had the audience of the one that mattered. Zacchaeus says, in Luke 19:8, Zacchaeus says to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay them back 4 times the amount." See, something incredible is going on in Zacchaeus' heart. He fully repents from his immoral choices, choosing to excessively repay everyone he had defrauded. Jesus' salvation in this moment took over here. And when Zacchaeus was despised by everyone else, Jesus still ate with him. In Luke 19:9-10, Jesus says to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, for this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." God is waiting for us to embrace the outcast and touch them. Maybe not physically, but spiritually. People like Damien are waiting to be invited and loved just as Jesus did. And maybe that love will transform their faith and produce Jesus into their lives just as it did with Zacchaeus. And his dining with Zacchaeus, it wasn't just about the food and the taxes. It was a live demonstration of his mission. He reached out to the unreachable and he touched the hearts of the untouchable. While we often respond with disgust to those we disagree with, Jesus seeks out those we might consider morally repulsive. He embraces the outcast and shares meals with the despised. Jesus calls us to embrace, forgive, and share meals with them. So, in other words, instead of being more like the crowd, we should be more like Jesus. In this dining and in this scene, we should choose whether you relate to Zacchaeus and need a change, or maybe you relate to the crowd, standing in judgment, or hopefully you relate to Jesus. Met with anger for loving the despised, may you be transformed by this truth. Jesus hung out with the outcasts. Thank you.